Chapter 6. Demos's Demon. Bethana and her brother spoke in Aramaic, their voices hushed against the low hum of conversation in the bookstore cafe. Too many ears, too many chances for the wrong person to listen. "What are you thinking, Zeb?" Across from her, Zebedeo drummed his fingers against the wooden table, his expression unreadable. "Does it matter?" He exhaled sharply. "It's not like we can get out of it. We've been bred for this mission. We have no choice. Our lives are not ours." He pushed his chair back and stood. "I'm getting a drink. Don't know how many more of these little luxuries we'll have after we leave." Bethana watched him turn toward the counter before speaking softly. "You can say no." Zeb stopped mid-step, turned back. "No, I can't." His tone was flat, but the flicker of something else, anger, maybe resentment, flashed in his eyes. He crossed his arms. "You know that. Yes, you can." Bethana leaned closer. "You don't owe me anything. You don't owe them anything." A muscle in Zeb's jaw twitched. He glanced at the line of people waiting for their orders, then sat back down with a heavy sigh. "That's just it. Why do you have to go?" Bethana didn't answer immediately, because she didn't know. Not in a way she could explain. Instead, she ran her fingers over the smooth surface of the small cross in her hand. "I just want to serve God as best I can," Zeb scoffed. "There you go again. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you've been brainwashed." He moved his chair next to hers, dropping his voice even lower. "I want to serve him too, Beth. But why do we have to give up everything? We don't even know if this will work. For all we know, our molecules will scatter across time and space and will just cease to exist." He hesitated, then softer. "And what if we're interfering with his plans?" Bethana looked down at the cross in her hands, gripping it like a lifeline. "Maybe we're part of his plans." Silence stretched between them. Then Zeb shook his head, laughing under his breath. "You sound like a fanatic." Bethana met his gaze. "I'm not. I've thought this through." Zeb sighed, rubbing his temple. "Well, if I can't stop you, then I guess I have to go too." "No, you don't." "Yes, I do." He reached for his wallet, standing again. "You're my sister. I can't let you do this alone. Besides, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I stayed behind." He turned toward the counter. "I'm getting a cappuccino. Want one?" Bethana smiled. "Strawberry banana smoothie with whipped cream." Zeb didn't even glance back. "I know." She watched him walk away, then reached into her pocket, fingers brushing against the small cross again. She wanted to believe she was doing the right thing. She needed to believe it. Across the cafe, Demos sat. He sat at the front window, eyes at the holographic display on his tablet. The program allowed for full customization: height, weight, hair color, even the curvature of the lips. He scrolled through the selections, constructing a woman to his liking. The process was seamless, an algorithm matching his preferences with real, available candidates. After a moment, he settled on one, young, maybe 18, soft features, wide eyes that reflected naive trust. With a tap, the image shifted. He adjusted the waist, the bust, the skin tone. The program updated in real time. Another tap and the screen displayed transaction details. Demos reached for his wallet, but then his gaze caught on something better. A girl, mid-teens, delicate, easily frightened, sitting across from a young man, her brother? Maybe. She smiled, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. She had no idea he was watching. A slow grin spread across Damos's face. "This must be my lucky day." He set his tablet aside, canceled the transaction, and waited. Bethana walked Zebedeo to the door, hugging him tightly before he left. "See you tomorrow," he called over his shoulder. She smiled. "Yeah?" She locked the door behind him, sighing as she leaned against it for a moment before heading toward the kitchen. She opened the refrigerator, staring at the contents without really seeing them. A note was stuck to the door. "I'll be spending the night at Christina's. Lori." Bethana smiled faintly. The electronic doorbell rang. She turned toward the door, hesitating. It was late. A folded note was being held up to the peephole. She squinted, reading the words, "Forgot my keys inside." Her stomach tightened. Something in her mind whispered no. But her hand was already turning the lock. The door burst open. A force slammed into her chest, knocking her backward into the hallway. The man moved fast, too fast. A blur of shadow and muscle. Bethana scrambled to her feet, heartbeat hammering in her ears. Phone. She had to get to her phone. She lunged toward the coffee table, but something crashed into it, a sharp kick from his boot. The table flipped. the phone tumbling to the floor along with a cascade of books and papers. Bethana barely had time to react before he was on her. A hand clamped around her wrist, twisting. She screamed, "Help! Someone!" Deimos just smiled. She twisted, kicking at his shin. He barely reacted. He's too strong. Adrenaline surged through her veins. She yanked free for a split second and ran toward her bedroom. She slammed the door shut behind her, but it didn't matter. A boot jammed into the gap, forcing it open. She shoved against it with all her strength, her palms burning against the wood. The door barely moved. And then he laughed, a slow, sickening chuckle like he was toying with her. Bethana had never felt so helpless. She wasn't a fighter. She wasn't strong. She only had faith, but in that moment, faith wasn't enough.